first thing I want to talk about is Family Dollar. Give you a little bit of history around Family Dollar. The best way to do it is really talk about the customer we serve and the trip we serve and then the store we serve it in. So the customer we serve, she's pretty much a female, head of household, makes less than $40,000 in income. They live paycheck to paycheck and has high school education. The trip, we really have a unique place in the market. We don't really go up against Walmart, although we have a Walmart assortment. We're really focused on that convenient trip. It's usually, the items are about 4 to 5 items in a basket. It's less than $10. Very much about consumables and discretionary items and trying to find that right mix. The whole emphasis for us is around convenience and value. The stores, we just broke into just recently into the 7,000 store mark. This fall we opened stores in California for the first time. Largely our stores are based in urban and rural markets. They're between 7,500 and 9,500 square feet, and about 1.1 million per store is what we do on average. I wanted to give you somewhat of an overview of the benefits that we saw with TradeStone. I'll speak to some of the reasons why we chose them, but we saw TradeStone really more as a merchandise lifecycle management solution than the traditional PLM solution. Certainly PLM was a component, but we were looking for something that could manage that whole transaction end to end. So something that could do global sourcing, the order management, and also the logistics and finance piece. So we really saw TradeStone as a holistic solution. So when we went through the process, knowing those were some of our criteria, there were some specifics that we were looking for. We wanted a solution that provided end-to-end functionality. It could support all our lines. So we have a Walmart assortment in about 7,000 square feet. We wanted exception-based reporting. Certainly it had to be built on a solid foundation of reporting, workflow. That's the key kind of component of a solution such as TradeStone's. And then the other piece of it, which I would say is actually as important, having done a lot of implementations, the partner is so critical to that decision process. And what I found is younger organizations that are hungry and are growing, they are better partners. And the one nice thing about TradeStone and Sue's background is it's only retail. That's who we were dealing with. A lot of these other solution providers, they were doing PLM solutions for automobiles and others. TradeStone was really focused on retail. So we started the implementation, and this is kind of typically what happens in these implementations. You have misalignment between IT or the vendor or the business. And usually, depending on whatever implementation, it can vary. I think we each all play one of those roles. But the implementation with TradeStone was outstanding. Just to give you an idea, just talk about some of the key aspects of that implementation. From a timing standpoint, we really focused around trying to roll out TradeStone to the businesses in their normal life cycle. The key component of that is to try and drive value, incremental value without, as Deb said, we didn't want this long drawn out implementation. The next, from our approach, we did not want to have a very sophisticated, we were focused on a timeline. We knew the offices were opening up, and so our focus was how do we sync our processes with the business and just focus on meaningful differences. We don't want to try and customize everything. Users. One thing we did a little bit differently is the solution stayed on the desktop of the sourcing group. It did not go out to the merchandising area. And so that really improved our adoption, allowed the rollout and the change management to go over much more smoothly. The fourth piece was we want to take a path of least resistance. So the one nice thing about TradeStone was we really could do a hosted or a SaaS solution. We did not have to implement it behind our firewall, which again, sometimes IT is not the easiest thing to work through, and so for us that was allowed us to get it up fast. Configuration, we used an agile approach. So rather than deploying the whole solution to specific areas, we really said, let's take pieces of their solution and let's roll it out by category. So literally in 4 months we had this solution up. And the other key piece of it was customization. We didn't have any. And again, I give that credit to Kevin and his team in terms of really pushing back on the merchant community. So what we're working on now is how do we take all those pieces and make them work seamlessly together. And this is a journey. We have a lot of work to do in terms of implementing or integrating TradeStone upstream and downstream. TradeStone is well positioned to help us. They certainly have helped us We expect to be close partners with them going forward.